Hello and welcome to the Angus Report, a news program geared toward cattle producers. I'm Bob Cervera.
And I'm Paige Wallace. From American Angus Association headquarters in St. Joseph, Missouri, we bring you the week's top headlines, including forecasts for export markets and Japan's age requirements.
We look at the latest developments in proposed child labor laws.
And meat grown in a petri dish. Are you kidding? Believe it or not, researchers are spending big bucks to produce artificial beef.
And we look at a movement that's becoming part of the ag community's vocabulary, agriculture advocacy.
This is the Angus Report.
Our top story for the week, 2011 was an outstanding year for beef exports. The U.S. Meat Export Federation projects 2011 exports total $5.3 billion, shattering the previous record set in 2010 by 30%. USMEF's Joe Shuley reports exports were up in both volume and value, but there's room for growth in 2012 and potential for the Japanese market.
In 2012, we won't see the exceptional growth from that, but we still think that there's room to push exports 5 or 6% higher is our projection. We could go higher than that if we get some expanded access to Japan, for example, and possibly get access to mainland China. So there's some key markets where we still have room to grow, but we think 2012, we think demand will remain very solid, and if the economies of our major trading partners remain strong, we should do quite well.
Last fall, the U.S. Department of Labor first proposed new child labor rules that would limit children 16 years or younger from performing functions on a farm considered dangerous, like operating power equipment, driving ATVs, or branding. In response to comments received from thousands of farmers and ranchers, the department has announced it will reconsider the rule and has signaled revisions for farms owned solely by families. Specific revisions have not been published, however, and while the official comment period has ceased, the agency announced it will continue to consider public feedback before the rule is finalized. Comments may be mailed to the U.S. Department of Labor at the following address.
Demand for high-quality beef has been on the rise, as reflected in increasing premiums for high-quality beef and a growing Choice Select spread. As Angus cattlemen work to fill demand for quality beef genetics, attention turns to the Choice Select spread and what's in store.
Obviously there's been a lot of dynamics in this industry that have really, taken us to look at this industry differently. I think over the last 3 decades, certified Angus beef and other quality-minded individuals in this industry, Angus producers in general, have really done a lot to increase the focus of quality in this industry and in the eyes of consumers. And I think as we look back here the last few months, we've clearly seen the different components of the industry at retail embrace this idea that quality has value. And we saw a Choice Select spread that's been as wide as it ever has, and even right now, although it's down from its high earlier this year, it clearly is still indicating to producers that quality can pay.
It's simple supply and demand. When the demand for choice goes up and when the supply of choice cattle decreases, we're going to see the spread widen out. And if history is an indicator, we would expect to see that come springtime. It will remain kind of high throughout the spring months on into early summers, perhaps take a little bit of a dip and then widen back up again in the fall. That's some of the historic trends.
With fluctuating market signals and input costs, it's important to get the most bang for your buck and add value to your calves. Troy Marshall of Marshall Cattle Company in Burlington, Colorado, discusses management tips for capturing value and doing a better job of managing the herd.
We've always been really production oriented in the cattle industry, and so we've taught and preached being low-cost producers. And we still need to be low-cost producers. I kind of consider that to be the table stakes that allow you to play at the game. But we also are now going to have to focus more and more on increasing the top line or the benefits and making sure so we can create more true value. From an individual producer standpoint, if you can hit specific programs, specific targets, specific niches, there's an opportunity to capture more value for those calves.
A group of researchers led by the University of California, Davis has taken a step closer to a salmonella vaccine. Researchers there identified antigens that could provide the foundation for development of a salmonella vaccine. Salmonella bacteria causes foodborne illness, with more than 1.4 million cases occurring annually in the United States alone, and at a cost of $3 billion each year. When the Angus Report returns, we discuss genomics and EPDs and their role in selecting the best genetics for your herd.
Plus, how just about anyone can become an advocate for agriculture.
Visit angus.org to continue watching this episode of the Angus Report.